the next episode.
Yo, I'm Devin Reed, and I'm on a mission to build a bigger and more inspired career as a marketer, creator, and entrepreneur. I've spent 10 years in sales and marketing, become head of content for $2 billion tech companies, and scaled my side hustle, The Reader, to 6 figures. And now I'm ready to level up my creativity and earning power to hit the next level. Let's rock. But I need more than tips, tricks, and dopamine hits. I want inspiration and expertise that's gonna help me reach my potential. And damn it, I wanna have fun doing it. So I'm traveling America for candid, street-level conversations about creativity, marketing, and playing by your own rules. You'll hear the stories behind the success, unfiltered conversations, vulnerable moments, and practical advice to help you grow your career, confidence, and income. Are you ready? This is Read Between the Lines, the show for people who want to achieve phenomenal results. Today, we're in New York City, and I'm about to sit down with Schneider, who's one of my favorite creators. We're gonna break down advice and tips for how to create villains in your content strategy, how to be a stronger LinkedIn creator, plus advice for how to be more confident betting on yourself and taking risks. Erica has gone from head of content to full-on entrepreneur, so she has a lot to teach us. Are you ready? Let's ride. Let's start with how we met. I go to Devin Brammel's rooftop happy hour, which was really like a rooftop party. And you know you're in a little bit of trouble. I showed up probably 2 hours late from start time. And I get there and I look to the left and the beer pong table has already been used and abused. And I'm like, all right, cool. They're getting after it a little bit. And then I look to the right and some guy, sorry, some guy if you're watching this, don't know, didn't introduce himself. He just goes, shot. I was like, you kind of got it. You can't like say no right when you get there. It's like you're kind of shutting down, you know. And before I could answer, Devin Brammel was like, yeah, of course. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm down. So I take this shot and I'm like, I have been here for 2 minutes and this could get out of hand pretty quickly.
Did you make it or miss it?
The shot? Oh, no, I took a shot. Oh, sorry. An actual shot of tequila.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking like someone's trying to get you into... Oh, you walked in right at the tequila shots.
Right at the tequila shot. Yeah. Sorry, I should have been clear. You want a shot, like a...
Yeah, you can't say no.
So I said no to. I said yes to that because you can't say no to that. And so I take the shot, and I remember like, okay. And then I'm like, all right, Dev, you can't say yes for at least 15 more minutes. Like you have to like control yourself a little bit. I take this deep breath, and I look around, and then you moseyed on over. And I'm going to use the word mosey, and I don't think I've ever used that word. And you had your hands in your pocket, and you kind of looked at me like, hey. And I was like, oh, are you Erica Schneider? And you're like, yeah, that's me. And I was like, this is amazing. The way this is starting is fantastic. So I really enjoyed meeting you in real life for the first time. And I really enjoyed meeting you digitally for the first time, which we'll get into.
So from my perspective of that moment, I'm standing on the other side of the roof with my wife, and she's never been to a marketing thing. I was like, you've got to come to a marketing thing. It's time. So I'm over there, and I see you walk up the ramp, and I go, Anna, it's Devin fucking Reed. He's here. And she was like, Devin who? And I was like, the guy, like the Devin Reed, the guy, I'm going on a show. And so I was going to come over and say hi right away, but you got like swarmed. This is a pattern I'm noticing with you.
It was a couple people.
You get swarmed.
It was, yeah, and then you wouldn't let me live it down. You were like, everyone just swarms you. I'm like, okay, it's like 2 people as a swarm in your dictionary. But again, it was like someone was at the Golden Hour event was like, you know, I'm really well known in this tiny part of the internet, like really tiny part. And this event happened to be a reflection of that tiny part. And it's not even of the internet. It's the tiny part of one social media platform on the internet.
Yeah. So technically, I'm bigger than you because I'm known on 2 social media platforms.
You know, we'll get into that. And technically, yeah, I think you're right. That's 100% true. So let's open up with how I actually found you for the first time, or rather how you found me, which was, what I think it must have been August 2 years ago. So what, August 2022, should know my kid's birthday because we had just had our second daughter. And with some of this extra free time, I didn't have a lot of free time, but with some of it, I decide, you know, hey, I've got LinkedIn kind of figured out. Why don't I go dabble on Twitter? And I remember doing some kind of random scrolling, following some new people, unfollowing stuff, kind of cleaning it up. And I remember by day 2, kind of hating Twitter and a little bit myself because the content was so, I didn't even have a word for it yet, and I still kind of struggle, but I remember just being like, wow, it feels like everyone else has it figured out. Everyone else is more successful than me, and maybe I'm kind of an idiot and don't actually know what I'm talking about, because everyone's talking about, you know, I don't know, from 0 to 1 million followers, or, you know, steal this template and all this stuff. And I was like kind of intimidated. I was like, oh my God. Wake up on the third day and I'm like, this can't be right though, right? Like this can't be. And so I go back on Twitter because I don't give up, and I see Erica Schneider, who I had no idea who you were, like never heard of you. And you are poking fun at this bro culture on Twitter. And you're basically speaking not just to my soul, but like what I was feeling. You were like 2-3 steps ahead, verbalizing what I was feeling. And I'll just kind of say it in your tone, which was like, that's a bunch of bullshit. That stuff sucks, right? So can you walk me through like your I don't know, conflict or experience with bro culture on Twitter?
So I started in 2021 and I really didn't like it. And so I actually left for a year, which I don't know a lot of people know that, but it took me a minute. Like I looked around and was like, this is not my vibe. Everything, it wasn't the bro culture that bothered me at first. It was like the cliche fortune cookiness of it all. It was just like, why do I need to be on this place where everyone's like, wake up and smile? Like, what is this platform?
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible. So I went on LinkedIn and I was having success there first. And then I was like, all right, let me try this Twitter thing again. So I went back over, I started to sort of have some traction there. And that's when I noticed like everyone who was sort of starting to follow me for my writing tips was quoting these people that are like the writers on Twitter. They were like, oh, I've learned everything from these guys. I don't want to name drop anyone, but
sure. Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Anyone watching is going to know who I'm talking about in a second. So I go look at their profiles and I'm reading their stuff and I'm like, okay, that's pretty simple. Like, I'm sure they get more detailed at some point, right?
Surely
there's more. So I hit follow. I followed all of them at first. I was like, these are the people I got to learn from.
Yeah.
Every single thing that they put out was as simple or like simpler than the last. And it's all the stuff that you were talking about. It's like, you know, 10 ways that you can become a better writer than your English teacher, you know? And it's like, write an active voice. Like,
write in short sentences. Write
be
like
direct.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is this? So that's where I sort of started to be like, what is this? And then I noticed that it's not just that they're terrible writers that are just using clickbait nonsense to get your attention. They're also like hustle culture, like douchebags kind of, that don't respect women like at all. So there was this whole subculture of not only are these like the writers that are like use templates and like use clickbait hooks, but like every single time that there was a curated list, not one woman, they all referenced each other. Like you could tell that they were all just like big upping each other in everything. And their advice was like terrible. So I was like, I got to say something. And that's where it started.
It's interesting. I didn't notice, maybe I didn't get deep enough to notice like the misogyny. I did notice, I'm like, there's a boys club happening. And even though I identify as a boy, I felt excluded and I didn't feel like I wanted to be included either, right? It's not like when you see people you really admire and respect, right? Like a great artist or a truly great writer. Yeah. And you feel that like, wow, that's amazing. I want to follow them to learn from them. And there's this feeling of that person is sharing either to inspire indirectly by just sharing their work, it is naturally inspiring, or they're taking time out of their day to kind of bring you into their circle a little bit. And really, you can tell, right? You can feel it's like authentic and they are trying to help you. I didn't get any of those vibes. I'm literally closing Twitter feeling worse time and time again. And I would have given up if I hadn't seen you. And I say I hadn't heard of you. It was another way to think of it is 3 days on Twitter and then I did hear of you. That's like another way to think, like I found you that quickly. And again, it was like just calling all this out and it made me feel validated and it made me feel better. And then I went, cool, I'll follow her. Nice. Now, a couple days later, or I'm going to, you know, who knows the exact timeline. You had a tweet go, I don't know, crazy viral, probably the phrase to use. This is a crazy story. The way this played out is too ironic. You almost couldn't write it. I'm going to read. We'll put it on screen and I'll read it though, if that's okay. Actually, can I have you read it in your voice? And say, here you go. You read this tweet.
All right. Context. It's like 8 p.m. I'm sitting on my couch with my very pregnant wife and I'm scrolling and I just had like seen another stupid tweet. And I was like, that's it. So it says, skip college, quit your 9 to 5, stop drinking. Wake up early, go on long walks, lift weights, eat protein, 10K all day. It's dead simple. 99% of people won't do this. Be a 1% hero. Unlock life, cold showers, invincibility, power, masculinity, testosterone. Winning.
So I saw that and I immediately knew this is like the satirical tweet of the year. And it went, I mean, at this point, you said it has how many million views?
11 million, yeah.
11 million views. I'm looking at it now. I can still see the heart that I dropped many moons ago. 144,000 likes, 15,000 reshares, 1.8 thousand, other known as 1,800 comments. Now, I think it went viral for 2 reasons. One, because people like me were like, ha, funny, like it, share it. Isn't this clever? And another group saw that and went, ha, totally agree.
Exactly.
And to the point where somebody, I won't say who, though I'm looking directly at their name right now, copied it, pasted it on their page, and multiple of these like bro hustle culture guys stole it and put it as their own, and then it went viral. And then I see you saw that they stole it, didn't tag you, and you put in all caps as you're like retweeting it, copy everything, let's go. So it just played into this insane irony and satirical just like cycle.
Yeah, I didn't sleep for like a whole day after that. And I think I lost like 3 pounds because I forgot to eat. It was crazy because I was having too much fun. That was like the most fun I've ever had online.
Yeah.
Everybody was replying with like their own weird like word salad thing in response. And people were having their most viral moment just as a reply to this tweet. So like everyone was in on it. But my favorite part, besides those idiots that ripped it off, and then I ended up having to block them because it got weird. But there were some people that, there's a third group of these people. So there's people that loved it and thought it was funny. There were people that wanted to rip it off because they were like, this is cool and I should have thought of this myself, but I'm not that original, so I'm just going to copy it. And then there were people that didn't get it. So like actual bros that thought this was good life advice were quote tweeting it, being like, yeah, this is what I've been talking about. So like, it was that line of you get it if you get it. But if you don't get it, you don't get it, which I think is why it went so viral, because it was like for anyone who, however you wanted to interpret it, it was for you.
Well, it's like a double entendre in a way, right? Which is like, if you get this double meaning, it's even more valuable. But if you never get to the second level, you can still follow along. Like that's the best like reference you can do without alienating people. And yet, I'm gonna use that phrase again. I think you built, again, I'm speculating, my experience with you was you built your brand around that alienation, and you started to say, you know what, I'm going to really lean into this and be the like anti-bro culture on Twitter. And you ran with it for quite a while, I would say, right? So I know I kind of quote fell into this. Like, you weren't setting out, I don't think, like, it just kind of like, the dominoes fell that way. But as a marketer, I look at it and I went, she has picked and is defeating a great villain. And by just being against something, you are proving what you are for. I haven't read any of your tweets on what you believe in, but I'm sure everyone already views what you're not, right? So by being polarized and say, I'm not for this, I'm for, something else, you start to build your values and people start to gravitate towards you, hopefully for the right reasons of the aforementioned group. So was that like picking a villain? Was that something in your like marketing toolkit, or did it just kind of happen?
It just happened. But I will say, and people ask me this all the time, like, I think it might be a little bit unfair to say I had no strategy, because we're marketers. So like, it's kind of in our bones to do this stuff anyway. So I think the true answer is I didn't set out to do it, but the second that I saw a signal, I just intuitively followed it. Yeah. Because people were responding more than they ever had. They were saying like, I haven't seen anything like this before, is what a lot of people were saying. You're speaking directly to my heart, my soul. Like, I feel like you're reading my mind. So that to me became like the most important thing to do online, instead of whatever strategy I had before, which was, you know, teach people how to write and edit, which like I'm also known for, and that's cool. And I'm glad that that's out there, but it's more important to me that people feel like when they follow me, they're joining some sort of like a movement or a revolution. And it's actually like the part that is the crux, the thing that I think people miss is like, you can't make this up. Like, you can't be like, I'm going to be the persona of this, and then everyone's going to follow me. Like, you have to find the thing that you actually really do give a shit about. Yeah. If you want to do what I did, because like, if you end up playing a character, for example, like I've seen people kind of play these characters, and then if it's not authentic to who you actually are, you're going to build a following around it, and then you're going to have some sort of a burnout or a mental break or like a reevaluation of what the hell you're doing, and you're going to quit, or you're going to try to pivot, and people are going to be like, wait a second, like, you're not actually that person, what the hell? So it was lucky in the sense that like I have the kind of strategicness of marketing in my soul from doing it, and I saw something that genuinely pissed me off, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just follow that. And I did it for, you know, like you said, like a year, like intensely. And
but like every time I opened Twitter, I had to unfollow a lot of things to get that off. And then I feel like every time I opened Twitter, I saw you bro bashing, for lack of a better phrase. And I was like, she has to continue doing it because it's working. You wouldn't, I was like, she's too smart to do it. Like, I just really hate them. And the engagement's dropping, but I'm doing it anyway. I was like, no, it's working. And so
I did though kind of pull back a bit for two reasons. And I think this is like a natural part of the cycle. So first of all, I had kids and I just got really tired. There's like only so much energy you can give to bros online when you're, when you're super tired. And the second reason is like, you have to be careful when you pick an enemy, because you don't want to be known solely as someone who's against something. I think it's also really important to be known as someone who's for something. Like, I don't want to just be the person that tears people down. I also want to lift people up. Right. So I did have a moment of like strategic evaluation, you know, and I started to hear from peers too. Like, hey, you know, the only reason why I see this stuff on my feed is because you comment on it or you say something about it. And like, I don't really want to hear about that anymore. So it's interesting. It's an interesting like journey, you know, when you do have an enemy. You don't just want to be villainized. Like, if you villainize people all the time, you become the villain.
You know what's interesting is I had the same feeling.
Really?
I saw enough of it, but I didn't think so much of it as like, again, we didn't know each other. We never talked. I went like, I'm kind of good on that now. Like, I just had enough fill. I've had enough of, you know, love ice cream, but I've had enough. And I honestly was like, she'll move on eventually because you're smart. So I was like, you know, and again, you got to think if that like, what is it? If that like momentum, right? Eventually when that momentum slows, people that told you that and what I just said, you get a few of those, but you listened quick enough so you didn't like crash and burn. Like, oh Jesus, like Eric, all she does is, you know, that. It was just like, I'm kind of good. We can move on now, which is so great. It's like, cool, you've gotten like all the juice out of that orange, right? And now it's like, cool, what's next? But you said something too, is like, I want to be known for what you're for, and your villain, I like villain more than enemy personally, but it is a mirrored version of what you are known for. If I'm known for writing and editing, you can say, well, here's what I think good writing is, and you know, good editing. Then you should also look at what is bad writing and bad editing. And this like bro culture is just like on that end of the spectrum, right? So it actually is like congruent to who you are. And so then it's like, okay, great. Now that we're done, like we've beat the hell out of the bros. Like let's let that breathe for a little bit. Maybe I'm guessing it sounds like you kind of went more towards, I don't want to say positive, but you know what I mean? A little bit more uplifting content. Yeah,
totally. A little bit more, you know, if you want to write authentically online and like feel good about it type stuff.
Yeah. I like that, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people who were with me on the bro journey, like they tell me like, hey, I bought your stuff because of that, or I want to be friends with you because of that. So they know that. And if people dig into my tweets, they'll find it, you know, but I think at the moment, I think I've built a reputation now as someone who stands for what I believe in.
Yes.
And so that to me, I can sleep a little bit better at night with that as what people are thinking of me than like, oh, you know, I can't wait for Erica to like just go make fun of the bros today. So yeah.
Which I get, which you still kick a little from time to time hanging out with you. And so you still have that flavor and you still throw a jab. But to your point, it is important to not be known and defined as the villain, you know, defeater, because it can get a little like, okay, enough's enough. But also like almost like you said, like almost negative. It's almost like, geez, you kind of beating the dead bro over there. You know, you kind of got it. So let's transition a little bit. So I would say that's how I initially got to know you. And then I caught you. I don't know if how I found or followed you on LinkedIn, but I would say you also took that mindset from kind of bro culture to like these, would you call them bro hooks, or what would you call the hook? Because you had a new villain on LinkedIn, which were these, how I would describe it, and then I want to hear you do it. Same thing, these over exaggerated hooks for LinkedIn posts, which was like, you know, I went from 0 to 1 million followers in 6 months. Here's how. Yeah. Or, you know, I went from, one of my least favorites, like, you know, this thread is more valuable than an MBA. Steal my template to build a $10 million business this weekend. Yeah. Whatever part of my brain reads that and goes, well, how'd you do that? Right? But then the bigger, hopefully the more, you know, influential part of my brain goes, oh, hey, that sounds like bullshit. Yeah. I don't have an MBA. I can't imagine any of the words following this thread or LinkedIn post is going to be more valuable than one personally. But tell me, you know, can you walk me through a little bit of like how you know, I don't know, identified this as, again, another writing tactic you didn't like? Because I think you villainized it and then you built some courses around it too. Yeah, totally. So it went from, I'm going to just be anti-hustle culture bro to, okay, over on LinkedIn now, where I'm spending a little bit more of my time, people are still using these really, I think I usually say over embellished hooks. That's a good way to put it, yeah. Or like inflating outcome hooks. And I wrote this once. I remember you responded to this email. I think I said something like, when you inflate outcomes, you deflate hope. And it's because you're promising that people are going to have these amazing outcomes in this super short time period. And realistically, maybe a couple people will, but that's not reality. And another thing I was seeing is like desperation in comments. Like people, like people, you know, who don't have much or they're just starting. The people that these clickbait hooks are targeting are people that really don't know better. Like you and I read that and it makes us psychologically be like, damn, I mean, I wouldn't mind. You know, I like money. Yeah, it makes you taller, but this post will make me taller. I mean, yeah, I'll read it. I'll do that. But, you know, we've had to work hard to where we are. And like, we've gotten somewhere now where we can, you know, and we can critically think. Bullshit meter. Yeah. Also, you know, we're just life. You just grow a bit and you experience things and you're like, okay, you know, things take time. So I felt really bad for these people. There were a lot of people on Twitter and LinkedIn saying like, yeah, I've totally quit college because of this, or I invested, you know, 10K in this person and it didn't work for me. And so I was seeing that and I was reading a lot of things. And so again, it's like, it conflicted with my values of being like an honest person who doesn't take advantage of people. Like, that's just like a value. I just really hate that. So like, I want you to go get your money. And like, if you've got a good course, you should totally promote it. But it was these really over embellished hooks that got me. So yeah, I did my carousel on like, if you're worried about sounding like an asshole on LinkedIn, just avoid these, these 6 really stupid hooks. So it says like, you know, you villainize these hooks on LinkedIn. And I think you flipped the switch to helping people faster than you did on Twitter. That's my experience. Because you came out with, remind me of the phrase, it was... Hooked on Writing Hooks? Hooked on Writing Hooks. Yeah. I bought it. I haven't watched it yet because my wife recently quit her job and she joined the Reader. And so we're going to watch it together. Okay. Because she's going to become a marketer. She's a little apprehensive on that. I want to be a better marketer. So I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we watched this together? Okay. And now that she's met you and we've all met, it's going to be extra special. So anyway, we're going to watch it and I'll let you know. Or hopefully you see my content more because my hooks are better for having watched it. But my point being is you transition from, hey, isn't this kind of like stupid and isn't this kind of funny that people are doing this? Yeah. Sharing the carousel, sharing advice, but then you dropped a course on it as well, which to me was like the stamp of like, I really understand and have kind of like become an expert on this concept and let me help you. Yeah, totally. I had no plans on doing a course on hooks.
it came because I was making fun of these hooks, and people were like, okay, if I shouldn't do this, what should I do instead? And I was like, you know what? That is the perfect question, because that would be my question to someone who's out there. Like,
me.
You know, like don't just go make fun of something if you don't then have a better way to do it. So I built the course really quickly. It started as a 27-page ebook. Yeah, there's a whole little backstory to it, which is kind of cool. There was a 27-page ebook. I put it up on Twitter. I said only 100 people can get it. That's it. And then I want feedback. So you can get it for $27, and then I want feedback. And like half the people who bought it gave me feedback. And essentially the feedback was like, I want another section on this. I want more examples on this. So I took the feedback and then I doubled the price. I put it back out for like $50, I think.
Still in ebook format?
I put it on Notion.
Okay.
So it was kind of
still
super
digital,
similar. Yeah. I put it on Notion. I had an introduction video. It's like my first ever attempt at a video. It was so awkward. I can't watch it. It's so bad. And in 5 months, I think it made like 14K. So that was cool. I mean, it wasn't a huge launch, but it was something. I mean, I had a full-time job, so anything else was exciting.
Right.
And then again, I just let that sit, and then I listened to people asking me questions. So ChatGPT came out. Came out in December. I think or November. I had my kids December 1st. So like I missed the whole ChatGPT revolution. So when I came back,
miss a lot.
I came back up for air, and everyone was like, hey, I love your hooks course. Is there a way that I can use ChatGPT to write hooks faster or better? And I was like, I've got no idea. But my friend Rob Lennon, who made $250,000 from his course launch.
Wow. What was his called?
Prompt engineering.
Oh,
he had the first prompt engineering course.
Yeah.
Talk about timing. I know.
Great timing. Also, I'll be honest, I heard prompt engineer. No, I don't know if it was from him or somewhere on the internet. And I went, if I need to be an engineer to make this write, I'm unsubscribed. Like, don't holler at me. There's something, like, to me, there's something larger that's broken. Not knocking Rob. If it worked for him, if it helped people, all good.
Yeah.
But I heard the phrase engineer for writing, and I went, is this the right lane for us?
Yeah,
so
totally.
Good for him. But sorry, go on.
I bought his course, but I also did not go through it yet, because I think I have the same hesitation. I'm like, I want to do this, but I also just want you to like do my courses with me and make people happy that way. Cool. So that's what we did. So he took my course and he AIified it. So like all of the principles that I had and all of the frameworks are bots now. So like it's trained on Erica, essentially. That's cool. Which is pretty cool. Yeah. Like I could never do that myself. So we re-released it as Hooked on Writing Hooks. Now it's $149 or something. So anyone who bought the original got the exact same price off of the new one, which was cool.
Cool.
And that was amazing. That was a $60K launch, which was super cool.
Saw that. Yeah. I bought it. That was one of those.
Yeah. That made me feel really, really, really good. And it also made me realize like, yeah, there's all these terrible templates out there and there's clickbait and all that, but I think a tide is turning. I think that people wanted that because they thought it worked, and then they realized for whatever reason, like people like me were saying this is silly, or they tried it. I had a lot of anecdotal, like I tried this and it did get me a bunch of followers, but nobody knows who I am. I'm not me. Like I've got no personality online. I'm just this like clickbait hook person.
They built a following, but not a reputation.
Totally. Yeah. Nothing that they were proud of either. Yeah. So that was cool. So that went really well.
Nice.
That was my first course.
So I want to talk through, you said it like while you were ahead of content, it was Grizzly. Was it right?
Grizzle.
Yeah. Why did I think Grizzly? Maybe I'm Grizzly. Grizzle, kind of a cooler name. You were ahead of content, and then now you're full-on entrepreneur. And you've got the newsletter, you've got Hooked on Hooks, you've got the editing one that you just dropped. I don't know any titles of any movies I like, so don't take this personally. What's that one called?
Content Editing 101.
Content Editing 101. Yeah. And then is Cut the Fluff? Is that another newsletter?
That's the newsletter, yeah.
You have so much shit going on.
I just dropped Long to Short. So that's
Long to Short. That's the one. So you have two newsletters. You partner with someone else on that.
I left that person.
You left. Wow. Okay, let's just start over. What do you do and who are you?
That's what everyone was asking me yesterday. I've got no idea.
So it's not just me. I'm like, I've done research. I'm in your audience.
I know, it's confusing. I've done a lot of pivots. Yeah. Okay. So
that's not a bad thing though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to figure it out because I honestly, at this point, I feel like I can help two very specific groups of people, and I don't want to choose, which is why I'm kind of all over the shop. But I had a cohort-based business that I'm not doing anymore.
Yeah, you're talking about that.
Because cohorts are honestly exhausting. Like I was so tired after them. So I decided not to do that anymore. I've got one newsletter, Cut the Fluff. I've got 3 courses. I'm gigging, fractional editing a bit. I've got some creator partnerships. I'm doing coaching for founders that want to grow on social for small businesses. That's more fun for me.
Yeah.
And figuring it out, honestly. However, I can make 100K every month. That's what I'm going for.
Is that your goal?
No.
That you're bro culturing me a little bit?
I'm just bro culturing you, yeah.
Well, when you have kids and you're ambitious, to me, someone being like, I'm trying to make 100K every month, I don't always view that as like immediately like a bad
No, I don't
thing.
think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like if you can do it and then actually tell people how you did it without telling them it's going to be easy, then yeah, do it. Honestly, I would love 100K a month.
I don't know anyone who wouldn't unless they're already way past that.
Yeah, totally.
I like talking about the leap and betting on yourself. And so you are a skilled writer, skilled editor. You've got a head of content job at Grizzle, a place that online you said you loved. So what motivated you to quit the security of that, probably some health insurance, and say, you know what, I'm going to go all in on Erica Schneider?
I think I reached a point where I've always wanted to work for myself and I've always been too scared to. And I started to see a little bit of success and it tasted really good. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did. What was the taste that kind of got you like?
I was like, you know what? Everything that I've done that has been successful has been because I've felt like I need to just follow my gut. And I can do this, like I'm scared, but I can do this. And I think the way that I put it, because I share all of this online.
I know. Yeah.
I think the way I put it was, I loved my job, but I could no longer deal with the fact that I might not live up to my potential.
Wow.
So I had to try, and I might not. Like I'm realistic. I hope I do. But I'm also, I'm not like, I don't have so much ego attached to it that if it doesn't work, I'm going to like panic and never go back to a job. Like if I need to get a job again and take a bit more time, bake a little bit more in this whole like life oven thing, I will, and that'll be fine, and that's part of the journey. And I've been having tons of conversations with entrepreneurs and people that have taken the leap. And like, it's kind of a shit show. Like it's intense. People are on emotional roller coasters like crazy. They've got ups, they've got downs, they have really good months, and then they have 2 months where they don't have any contracts closed and they're scared and they're like, how am I going to feed my family? So I'm out here like taking a bet on myself. Like it feels good. I hope it works. I hope I figure it out. I think I will. I'm pretty confident that I will. I haven't yet at this point. I don't know when the show will air. We'll see. But it just feels really good. It feels really good. Like I'm proud of myself,
That is one of the best things you can have, by the way. That's incredibly valuable to be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Allow me, if I may, to validate a few of those things. So first of all, you said, I think I can. You built a reputation online in a way that even though we just met quite awkwardly 2 days ago, I felt like I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
I really do, because you said I share all of this stuff. And that takes courage. And so the fact that you're already willing to do what most people know they should but don't is a huge indicator. 2, you're incredibly talented. It's clear. And so when you put those things together, I think that your trajectory is fantastic. I've been watching you. I told you when we first started, I think we was voice memoing each other. Once I got you, I think I like DM'd you for the show or something. We start voice memoing. I'm just like telling you all these nice things. Like, you've got the newsletter going, and it's not just amount of things. Even though you have like zigzagged, it's not in the like, oh wow, she's doing something new. Like she really doesn't. It's not that you don't have it figured out. That's not the perception. It's you're just kind of like weaving a little bit. You haven't quite found it, but you're zeroing in on it really, really quickly, like a lot faster than I did. And so the other thing I want to say real quick is a couple of times you've been like, I'm trying to figure it out. Let me tell you as your friend, you are figuring it out. You are doing it and you are on your way. And I know there is like these emotional roller coasters, good days, less than great days and all that stuff. But from my point of view, you're doing a phenomenal job.
Nice. That is good to hear. That is really good to hear. I'm after that recurring revenue.
Yeah.
I'm there, but the whole feast or famine thing, like I don't want that life. It's stressful.
Yeah.
And it's hard with kids, like my wife doesn't work at the moment. She left her job. She might go back next year, but it's just me out here, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's a ton of pressure and the anxiety is real some days, but like the wins are so sweet.
Yep.
It feels so good. And you just also get to make your own schedule entirely, which is amazing. I find myself working more now that I'm working for myself, but like it's all super passionate. Like, I'm enjoying it. You know, like I want to sit at night in bed with the TV on and work on something. Whereas,
I think you posted about that actually.
Did I?
I got
I'm
jealous.
sure I did.
I think you're like, I don't remember what it was. It was some kind of little witty post. I feel like you like had your laptop and you're kind of in bed and there's like TV and you're like something like, I'm working while watching TV because I can and I want to or something. And I remember being at my 9 to 5 and being like, Dan, I want to do that. That's pretty great. I'd love to be in bed working right now. Yeah. So, what do you wish you knew sooner? For the folks listening, right? You're inspiring people. You've inspired me. People probably want to bet on themselves. Maybe it's starting their side hustle. Maybe it's growing it while they're still at their 9 to 5, or maybe they're, you know, like me, looking over there, like maybe I should take that leap. What did you learn and wish you had known sooner?
I think it all comes down to the mindset thing. 'Cause like, if you're thinking about doing it, I think the right way to do it, first of all, is to try to do a side hustle first, because then you can prove to yourself, like, yeah, I've got this. It's really, I can't imagine taking the leap when I didn't have an audience and I didn't have success before. That would have been really scary. And I'm sure I would have a job again by now. The thing is, I thought when I left, I had like the Dunning-Kruger effect of like, I've got this. I'm going to be a millionaire in like a year. Like everyone's going to want to work with me. Like, you know, you just are feeling so good the day that you go. And then it's kind of like an intense fall from there, especially if, you know, even if you are making money and things are going well, like it's all on you. Like you have to make every single decision. And I've got like decision-making fatigue from the whole thing. Like just from like the littlest things. What do I want? How do I want to schedule my day? What do I want to do today? What do I want to work on? What do I want to prioritize? All the way up to like, you know, should I take this big important project or not? Like, does this align with my values or not? Like, there's just endless decisions that you have to make. So I guess like, I wish that I had known how many decisions I was going to have to make and how exhausting that was going to feel. Yeah. And I wish that I had set myself up with a support group sooner. I'm still kind of working my way towards that, but I'm like, some days I feel like I'm clawing just to like talk to anyone about it, you know, which is part of why I talk about it online. Like it feels good. It's cathartic. And when people comment, it's like, okay, cool. And then I usually end up in DMs with them and then we'll get on a Zoom call. So like I'm building a community of entrepreneurs now that I wish I had built before, because you really need the support.
Said it many times on the show and on my own feed, is reputation and audience are the most valuable things right now. People call it personal brand and following, but no, it's reputation. It's what people think about you. Yeah. And two, it's audiences. Do you have someone listening? Who cares? Who know, but also feels like they know you, not just following you because, you know, you write funny memes or something like that. Because everything's easier when you have an audience, right?
So much easier.
People will come to your event. People might come to your show. People will buy things from you, or even at the very least introduce you to opportunities that can put money in your pocket. So what were the signals that you saw maybe across your content creation, like channels, maybe it was your audience growth? Like what point were you like, okay, I'm past the like that tipping point of like, oh, I'm pretty sure the leap isn't so big, or this thing could work out. What did you see that gave you that confidence?
I think it was after the Hooked on Writing Hooks launch.
Right. That was fairly recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess to go back when I had kids a year before that, or whatever the math is from.
We don't do math on this show.
No,
so
there's no math. A little bit less than a year. Going back to work was really hard. I didn't want to. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy the work. It was just very much like I felt exhausted and I really wanted to own my time. Like really wanted to own my time. So I was kind of like walking through quicksand back at work for a while. And then when the Hooks launch went well and I was able to actually pocket 30K in a week, I was like, is this for real? Like I could, if I had no job and all my time to focus on building courses, helping people, like if I can do this with like 20% of my brain, what can I do with 100%? And I think that's when I started to think about like, okay, I have to at least try. Like I've tasted it tastes really good. I have to try. And now, you know, I've had 2 more launches that have been basically just as successful, which is really cool. I think I was just ready to take that leap and like, and see what else I could do with all that brain power.
Well, it's cool to hear you say basically this great milestone, this success opened up your potential in your own brain.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, man, if I can do this 20%, like,
yeah,
you're like self-worth, your potential and your self-worth got like a lot larger. And sounds like that's what motivated you.
Yeah. It actually all comes down to mindset.
Yeah.
Like all of us that have been doing any one thing for more than a few years have the potential to go do this thing on our own if we want to.
Yeah.
It's just about like confidence, mindset, like, and also, not being an idiot. Like, am I actually gonna be able to support my family or not?
Yeah.
And then if you need to go back to a job, like that's the other thing. Like, don't go into it with an ego. Like you might fail. That's okay. You can go back to a job, work on it a bit more, and then go try it again.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think of that too when I went from sales to marketing, and now that I'm in marketing, considering like what would full-time entrepreneurship look like. There's this feeling that it's all or nothing. Mm-hmm. If I don't make it in marketing, then my career's over. Everyone will know that I failed. And same thing now. It's like, well, if I give up my B2B job and I go do entrepreneurship and it doesn't work out, then I failed and it's all over. And like realistically, it's like, okay, first of all, calm down. It's not that serious. It feels like it sometimes, but it's really not. Yeah. It's like if you got a job once, like at the worst, what it really is like, it's taking a break from that career track. Yeah. But you can just take that off ramp and then get right back on if that's, what you want to do. And that's what makes most sense.
Look, we all have to live. Like that's another thing. It's another thing that I talk about consistently. Like I can't stand that we put entrepreneurship and jobs like this against each other.
Yeah.
I don't know why we do that. Like I know how good it feels to work for myself now, but now I also know like intimately how scary it is to wake up every morning and be like, not quite sure how I should spend my time and like if I'm going to do it in the right way today to make money. Right. So like it's much easier to just go to a job.
Yeah.
And it's nice. Like it's totally fine. I think that we all go through seasons in life and like I don't understand why we have to live in some linear track. Just doesn't make sense to me. And I've always like felt like I don't want to fit into a box. So I had jobs and then I had a quarter life crisis when I was 27 and I just went to Thailand. It was like, that's it. And I stayed there for 4 years traveling around.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I met my British wife on a beach in Thailand. It was amazing. It's a story. It's a story for off camera. But I only came back because we got stuck here during the pandemic. And then I was like, well, I guess I have to like, get serious again. And like, so I was contracting for Grizzle. I took a full-time job. And I did that for 4.5 years. And now I'm in this entrepreneur season. I hope it lasts, but I don't know. Like I want to have a good time in my life mostly. And I want to do the things that give me like the biggest chance of reaching my potential. And also I don't want to have like a heart attack from the stress.
Yeah.
Like you can have it at a job or you can have it as an entrepreneur. So like.
Good point.
Yeah.
Might as well follow the joy and the fulfillment if you're going to feel stressed regardless.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I remember sometime early in my career when I was naive, I always remember like the working parents, like, like, yeah, it's harder, but like you decided to have kids. And so it's like, isn't that kind of like on you? And that's kind of where it ended. It wasn't like to bash them. I never said it out loud, but I was kind of like, isn't that kind of your choice? Mm-hmm. Now that I have kids, I look back and go, young man, I'm glad you never said that out loud because it was very stupid. And two, I look at it and go, life is so much easier before kids. But my other ways is, kids don't make much things easier, but they make a lot of things better. Mm-hmm. And I know that my perception of my career and work ethic and other people's career, work ethic and dedication, I have a lot more respect for people who have kids because it's another big bucket in life. So I'm curious, you have 2 twins, 16 months? Mm-hmm. 16 months. How has that changed your career?
Just taking a deep breath.
Yeah, I feel like when you have toddlers, or if they're walking, I call them a toddler. If you have toddlers, I think a lot of answers start with a deep breath.
Yeah, it's changed literally every single thing about my life. Like I actually don't feel like the same person anymore. I look back at like the person that we were talking about who wrote that viral tweet and all that. Like that was all before kids, and I look back at that person and I'm like, yeah, like like you were having fun. Like you were chilling. Like I had the energy to do that. I'm so tired all the time. And it's confusing because it's like you were saying, it's the most fulfilling feeling that I've ever had ever.
Hands down.
Like, I am so overwhelmed with love when I see them. I didn't feel that right away. I know in the movies, like you see your kid and you're like, you know, like it actually took me like a month to really be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was really scared of being a mom. Like, I don't have that natural mom instinct that my wife does, for example. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be any good at this. And I've had that feeling a bunch of times over the past 16 months too. Like, I suck at this. This is, what am I doing? You know? And she, meanwhile, like, she's so nurturing and so good at it. I think I work a lot harder now, hopefully smarter too, because I have less time. So when I'm there working, it's like, no, I'm going to get this done. Or like, I'm going to hustle like crazy because I want to make sure I can spend the whole weekend with them, you know?
Yep.
Things like that. The thing that I will be totally honest about is that, like, I do miss like time to be creative and just kind of like sit with my thoughts, stare at the wall, and have absolutely no distractions and not feel bad about it.
Yeah.
There's like endless guilt that no one really tells you about before you become a parent. And then you have kids and you're like, I feel bad when I'm with them and I'm not working because I have to support my family, but I feel bad when I'm working and I'm not with them because I have to support their development. It's really confusing. So I kind of miss like the guilt-free, just sitting creative moments. Like I feel like I'm working harder and I'm doing well, but I don't feel as creative as I used to. And I'm sure it'll come. I'm hoping it'll come back because I really love being creative. But yeah, it's changed every single thing, everything.
Let me validate the dual guilt,
Yeah,
which I felt for a long time. Feel guilty when I'm with my kids because I'm not working and I should be working,
yeah.
whether there's something to be done or just the need to provide, right?
Yeah.
And then there's I'm at work feeling guilty that I'm not with my kids. And so I have definitely don't have it all figured out by any means. But what I can share was I was probably 2 years into being a dad. So we had Rumi, who's our oldest. And then we had probably like, I don't know, when Razi, our youngest, was like 6 to 9 months, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. I had to stop telling myself that I don't know what I'm doing in my head.
Yeah.
Because what I realized was it wasn't true anymore. And two, it was actually preventing me from becoming a great dad because I'm constantly telling myself I don't really know. I'm not really good at it yet. It took it's hard to when like family members tell you you're a good parent because you're like, yeah, you're kind of just saying that. Like, you also thought I was cute every year growing up and we all saw my prom pictures, like not always the case. So I think you have to like kind of let that go. And so I had to change that self-talk, and that's kind of why I wanted to do it to you a little bit earlier. It's like, you're not trying, you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not like, I hope I'm a good dad. I'm like, well, let's back up for a sec. What makes a good dad or a great dad? And what kind of dad do I want to be? And I literally just like listed it out like in a journal. And for me, a lot of it too was like with the dad I don't want to be was kind of easier, kind of going back to villain. It was like, going back to my childhood stuff of, what my mom did, what dad didn't do, kind of shaped how I define a great dad. And I listed it all out. And I had to give myself some credit. Like, was I perfect 10 in each of these areas? No, of course not. But I was like scoring high in a large majority of them. And so like visualizing like, hey, actually you're doing way better than you're kind of giving yourself credit. Yeah. Then I could change it and feel like, you know what? I'm a pretty damn good dad. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning and I'm still getting better at it. But I can remove that self-talk confidently and go, cool, like I'm a dad of two. The other thing was like, how many more kids do I have to have, or how much longer do I have to be a dad before I'm going to like allow myself to say, hey, I'm on the rise here. I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, no, I love that. I've definitely gotten more confident with each month. So I think it's like coming. I know that I'm a good mom. But I still, everyone tells me you feel confident and then the phase changes and it's like, shit.
Yeah.
Just got good at that, Like,
well, and you're doing 2X with twins too. So like, that's like, it's probably twice as hard and hopefully I'm speculating like twice as rewarding, the highs are twice as good. And I'm guessing the lows are the tough, just the toughness of.
They've started to play with each other. It is best. So cute.
Oh my God.
It's so cute. They have little hoods on their bath towels. And so after they get dry, they want to wear the towels as capes.
Who doesn't?
They go up and down the hallway, just like playing hide and seek with each other and screaming.
Yeah.
That's the best part of my day.
It's cuteness overload because like, oh, it's so cool. Like for me, my daughters are playing like, and like you see this friendship, you know, like this bonding happening. Yeah. And then two, I look at Shali, my wife, and I go, we can talk without being interrupted for a minute. Isn't it nice? We have like, I wouldn't say free time because I'm still supervising, but it's like they're doing their own thing. And so that feels like an achievement because it's like, cool, they're not like at that age where you need to be like watching them and with them like 100% dedication. It's like they can kind of go do their thing in the living room while I'm like 30 feet away.
Yeah.
And they're doing their own thing. So that to me was like huge milestone.
That's huge. We're not quite there yet because they're still really stupid. Like they just want to crawl, like they just want to crawl up on everything.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just dangerous. Like they're too stupid to be left alone.
Well, my thing is Razi's like, my youngest is a few months older than yours, and she has a 3.5-year-old to kind of guide her. So like,
yeah, totally.
But it's funny because you see the little one like learn like, hey, like Razi, don't do that because like the older one's teaching the younger one rules.
Yeah.
But then you see the younger one do something that makes me laugh that she shouldn't be doing, and then the older one, Rumi, sees that, and then she regresses to bad behavior to get my attention. So it goes
a whole other layer.
It goes back and forth. It goes back and forth.
Oh man.
And yes, as soon as you kind of figure out the stage, they change or they talk, like they start talking or they start understanding things. You know, what was the one we were watching? So my Rumi, the 3.5-year-old, she caught me. Well, not caught me, but I was watching The Office as I tend to do. Mm-hmm. My like 4 o'clock thing when I'm kind of winding down for the day is I put The Office on, so I feel like I'm in the office, and I do a little work. And she came in and she was talking. She was hanging out with me, and Michael Scott said something about like sex, and she had never heard the word. And of course, all this dialogue, and it's pretty PG, like The Office, but they kind of hit on some, you know, stuff. And so he said something about having sex, and I'm typing, and I pause. And she looks at me, she goes, Dad, what does have sex? And I went, I think he said have 6, like 4, 5, 6. And she was like, oh yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was like, yeah, that's exactly it. Note to self, do not let her watch The Office with me. I don't know where that story was going, but that happens.
I'm super nervous for all of that. Yeah. I need to stop cursing around them.
So I actually know why they pick up cursing more than almost anything else. What? It's anytime there's like exclamatory phrases.
Yeah.
Damn it. Shit.
Yeah.
You just don't say a curse word. You can say anything. I've actually tested this like random words and they will repeat that. So all they're looking for is that like heightened emotional response. They don't know it's a curse word. They just hear that and they're like, cool, I want to say that too.
Yeah.
So I learned through their parroting that I say, God damn it, is like my thing. Mm-hmm. And it sounds way worse than it is, but it could be like a small thing of like, you know, you post a LinkedIn thing, you look back and like, oh, God damn it, I had a typo. She'll hear that and be like, you know, so the dog does anything, like nothing. And she'll be like, God damn it, Cuddy. And it's just like, it's very funny, but my wife hates when I laugh at it because then all that does is, perpetuate this behavior. So clearly, you know, there's not a lot of rules and regulations in the Reed house, but we have fun. And that's all you can kind of do is just enjoy the chaos, hustle with the purpose, and just pour yourself into them, hoping that it'll all work out.
Yeah. I keep trying to get our monthly spending down, and I'm like,
good luck.
No, I've run the numbers like every which way. It's not going down. So my income needs to go up. I love when people are like, have you tried budgeting? I'm like, I can't.
Well, another thing we've done was, I could say I grew up in sales, mm-hmm. and they're more like, you know, they curse like sailors, right? In that sales pit. You kind of did the eye roll. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Mm-hmm. Come from a kind of a blue collar family. My dad does construction, a lot of cursing there. So like, it kind of just was like handedly part of my identity and maybe a little more pride than I should have in it. And so when Rumi was born, obviously you're like, cool, I don't want to be the cursing guy, dad, right? I want to do better. Whatever the hell I just said was not enough because it was just constant. And so we had to create a swear jar, mm-hmm. which, as you can imagine, I think 97% of those deposits were from me. Mm-hmm. And so what we decided was every time I curse, even though they weren't always old enough to understand it, I had to put $1 in the jar, which really just ended up like every Thursday or you know, a couple days I just drop a 20 in there because that's like, you know, who has that many ones? You know, I'm not going to the strip club. Like no one carries that many ones on them. So what we decided to do to turn it into a positive thing is it funds our annual family Disneyland trip. Like,
that's hilarious.
that's how much cursing is happening at the Reed House the last couple of years. But I've gotten a little bit better. I've gotten a little bit better because once you hear it parroted back to you, then you go, oh, okay, it's a real problem. We can't have this.
Yeah.
Can't have her running around yelling "God damn it" or anything like that.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I never have any cash, but I will get cash specifically for this purpose because I curse all the time.
Yeah.
Around them, like I hear it, and I'm like, I'll curse, and then I'll be like, shit, I just cursed.
Fuck, I can't do any better. Yeah. All right. So you're an entrepreneur. You got 2 kids, solo income. I'm in your corner, rooting for you, and grateful that you're sharing your wisdom and expertise with me and everyone listening and watching.
Thanks for having me. This has been really fun. And you're Devin fucking Reed. So put that in your curse jar.
I will. I'll
tell your kids I
said
it.
All right. All right. If you're still listening, you must really crave growth. And I respect that. And you don't have to wait until next week's episode for more marketing advice. There are 3 ways I can help you scale your content right now. Every Saturday morning, I publish a newsletter where you'll get content tips and strategies for growing your career, brand, and business. Subscribe now to join thousands of readers. Just tap the link in the show notes. My ebook, Content That Converts, shows you how to confidently grow your reach and audience. This expansive digital playbook, packed with tips, techniques, and examples, reveals the exact strategies and step-by-step processes for converting attention into audience growth and sales. To buy your copy, hit the link in the show notes. You're seeing a pattern. And if you'd like to sponsor this show or partner with The Reader, email me at yo@thereader.co. Yes, that's yo@thereader.co. That's a wrap for now. And if you like the show, go ahead and give us that 5-star rating on Apple. It helps us grow.